So what I've been describing is a kind of dialectical inquiry in this parlor. I'm going to show you just a couple of slides about how I try to make it work in my classes. This screenshot shows a post from a Yellowdig community from, I think, 3 or 4 years ago. When I used to have students post in discussion forums, I would ask them a question each week, and they would respond, and their response had to be a certain number of words, and I would go through and give them credit for their responses. And I also encourage them to respond to each other. This is an example of one post. It's a really good post, but you notice there's one reply and one like, and that's it. And a lot of them tended to be like this. Really good writing because the students are super smart and saying really interesting things, but there's no community building and there's no back and forth and evolution in their knowledge necessarily. The data on the left side shows that throughout the course, there were 160 posts. I think there were 10 students in 16 weeks. So each student did one post per week, and that was it, which is exactly what you can expect if you tell them exactly what they need to do. There were 3,873 reactions, which means, people were liking or loving each other's posts and so on, and they would get points for liking and loving and that sort of thing. The conversation ratio was 6.16. You want to get as high as possible on that, up to 10, which I've never been able to reach. Here's another course, though, a few years later when I became much less directive and would essentially ask the students to talk about, write about what they were reading and talking about in class. And that was as directive as I got. And so suddenly there are more posts throughout the course. The total of number of comments goes up quite a bit, from 900 to 1,500. Total reactions goes way down, and that's kind of good. I had found out that students were reacting to each other in order to get points, and not because they found anything interesting to connect to. And the conversation ratio went up quite a bit. So you would see long posts like this. These are graduate students, so they get very enthusiastic. So they're writing probably a little bit too much. But we ended up seeing a lot more give and take and follow-up. These are conversations that occurred after that initial post. Yeah, so that's the way that it works in my classes now. It's much more free form and flowing.